All right. Well, you know what? I don't want to keep people waiting that are already here on time, so we'll kickstart things. And if
Okay.
people join late, it's up to them.
All right. So, yeah, welcome, agents and friends. Thank you for joining us for another week's Spaces. Today, we'll be discussing the topics that were posted in our announcements over the last couple of days. In particular, the DAO, the Metaverse, and the upcoming plans for Oktoberfest celebrations. So, so, uh, so first, let's have Lakoz talk about the topics for today, the vision, team's vision, and then we'll get to some questions.
Sounds good. And I'll start by saying that on our end, at times I forget that people have been joining the space. Some people have been here for a really long time. Other people just joined and literally got a MetaMask minted for a project. They've been kind of hanging around here. So I tend to forget that there is at times a knowledge gap or an understanding of like some of the terms or some of the initiatives. And I realized late last week after we dropped the roadmap and we had our first spaces was that a lot of people didn't fully understand or even know about what a DAO was or what the metaverse meant in terms of the NFT space. So we talked a little bit about that, but I wanted to take the time tonight to dive a little bit deeper into what those mean and why um, there's value for you as a collector with these initiatives. And we can start with the DAO, the idea of a decentralized autonomous organization where decisions are made based on voting power. And in this case, when it comes to NFTs, is anyone that holds a token has to say they can actually vote on whatever's put forth or the direction for that specific DAO. What we're starting to see is that a lot of these communities is that, as we've also stated, we want to do things and put the community first. But it's still mostly driven by the team behind it because we're a lot of the times, even though we might be asking questions, we are making some of the assumptions. So the idea of the DAO is that if you own a token, in this case a koala, you actually get to vote on the decisions that we make. So, for example, if we put forward a sort of direction or a project that we want to work on or contest, then you actually get the vote if you want to do it, if you don't, or what the theme of the contest might be. So that's kind of like step one of the DAO, right? Like the idea that you have voting power to make decisions for the community. And we're looking at expanding that and providing a lot other capabilities than just voting. We want to create a community wallet for people to then vote on where some of those funds are going to go. Like we've talked about, bringing utility for real life experiences. Having a strong community means meetups throughout different places. So with the community wallet, then it's no longer our choice of where the funds go, but rather the community gets to decide what we do with these funds as you please. So that's kind of where we're starting with DAOs. We have a few other projects, and we're starting also to closely look at then the financial side of a DAO, and how would that look like. The complexity around that is that depending on the country that you're in, then you start looking into securities. There's a lot of legal concerns around them. So we're moving carefully, but it's something we want to continue to get into because we feel like it is important in the space to have those capabilities. So I think that's kind of like a bit of an overhead of the DAO, why we think it's important. Would love to hear from the community if there's any specific questions around it, concerns, if people are excited, if people still don't get it, and we need to explain it even better. Um, so I don't know if people want to come up and chat, or if Ilya, if you already have some
Yeah,
questions.
that's actually yeah, we can split the topics this way. Sure. So yeah, I have a few questions from the collectors. One is how who will be the signers of the community wallet? Is there it's a multi-sig, or will there be use of snapshot that it's was
Yeah, so the initial idea is that um, again, multi-sig would then put it to a handful of people, and that's almost like a halfway to a DAO, but not a full DAO. So for us, we'd be looking at something like Snapshot, where it's like we put up the vote, and whatever that deciding factor is from the vote, that's what's going to happen with those funds. So we want to make it in terms of, from that perspective, fully decentralized, where you no longer have to get approval from, like, let's say if you have kind of a community lead and then a project lead, and then both have to sign off in agreement of a specific use of the money, but rather the funds are there, the proposals are put together, the community votes on the proposal, and then it's up to the community to pass that or not. Like as a project, from the project side of things, like I don't want to then have to personally decide, yes, I like this, or no, I don't think it's right. Like I think it's like up to the community to be able to decide that.
so
So
if something like say community votes for tokenization, well, that's something that would be then adopted, supported.
um to an extent, I would say yes, but it's not necessarily that anyone can just put a random vote. Like that's what also we want to create a process of, a a way of formally submitting these requests, especially if it's something much larger and complex like that, um, than if it's just kind of like a meetup somewhere or an event or a contest or something a little bit smaller. But we are working on that forum where people can submit um, requests on ideas that they want to see, projects, various things, and there'll be a voting mechanism to kind of move that down the line and actually have that like final official vote through, like, let's say Snapshot, to actually decide on what will happen. um, I know you have other questions, Ilya. A couple of people wanting to talk, so I know we have Oreo Dip already up on the stage. How's it going?
What's up, bro? I was just wondering exactly how large would the community wallet be? Like how much ETH?
We've been going back and forth on that. We haven't decided like a starting point yet. Um, I don't want to obviously say, hey, we're going to start with 2 ETH or something. Like we want something to be impactful, something to make a difference. But also we're looking at what percentage of secondary sale royalties go automatically in the community wallet. Again, we
Yeah,
don't want to say every month we're going to put X amount. No, like as the project scales out, we want that community wallet to be a percentage, or like the right ratio
I
with
see.
how the project's scaling out.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Hey guys, how's everyone?
Good, good. Yourself?
Okay.
Yeah, good. I was just going to say, just on the DAO stuff that you're talking about, and this is not me plugging any other projects, but I've seen another project that seemed to be doing something really similar to what you were saying with the snapshots. So it can be good, and I don't want to say it if you don't want me to say it, but I'm thinking just for everyone to get an understanding of what it actually looks like in practice, because I'm super practical and I'm like, DAO seems so like theoretical, and how does it work on the ground? And it's been really good to see myself like, okay, that's how a DAO actually works, and that's how the snapshots can
Oh,
work.
I'm okay with specifics because, like you said, I think it also helps people, right? Like I know some projects. The latest one that I was involved with, there's a project called APMON Revolution. Long story short, that project's gone through some cycles. There's a new team behind it, and they needed to change direction. And they actually used Snapshot to grab all the collectors and vote on the direction of the project that we wanted to go. Um, so yeah, I know there's projects out there. If you want to name them and get into specifics, I'm also happy to talk about that because I think it helps when we actually bring it down from the theoretical to the actual practical, and it's easier to understand it.
Yeah, well, the one that we've just jumped in and they've only minted the other day. So in terms of what the project's actually like and what it's going to look like, I'm not super sure, but it's the Mutant Cats one. So they've got like a community like DAO at the moment where they're buying up cool cats. And so I guess what the snapshot was looking like in terms of everyone having a voice or a vote was like what cool cats to actually buy up off of the floor. So they had like quite a specific period, and you can go into their Discord and have a look at the links and stuff and sort of how it worked and what it looked like for people to be putting their vote in for that.
And then, so the purpose of that, it's for that DAO to be collectors of specific NFTs and then just hold them to say the project owns that, or like are they gonna then partition that NFT and then let's say every owner of the project NFT gets a piece of the Cool Cat NFT. Do you know what they're doing with that?
I'm not super specific on it. I know that they've got like a token that they're creating. It's like a fish token because it goes with cats, I guess. And so I know that the idea is with this community DAO, they're buying up these collectibles to, I mean, I don't know how they'd redistribute, but I guess the idea is sort of working towards a distribution to owners in the community DAO or like a dividend type thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. One of them could be as a project buying um, an NFT and either fractionalizing it or having that as like a utility access, right? Like let's say, think of it like a timeshare, and that cool cat's going to be a timeshare, or that bored ape is going to be the timeshare. And if for people like going to NFT NYC that you need an ape to go on a cruise party or another event, that's an access token that you have now for your community. I've also seen it, and I've been part of some other DAOs specific to buying up pieces of art in the space. Um, because some of the pieces that we're going after is just quite expensive. It's such a high risk, and you don't necessarily want to take the risk completely on yourself, or you just don't have the funds to afford it. So you create a DAO, put money together, purchase a piece, and then you fractionalize it. And then also you own 10%, and you can do whatever you want with that 10%. You can fully sell it to other people and then make more money off of it. So there is a lot of different options. What we're going to try to start doing is maybe rolling out um, votes on Snapshot, even for smaller decisions, um, just so people start getting the hang of it and seeing how it works, what the benefit of it is, and as we continue to roll out our executions, you're still seeing that we're going to have some more serious votes than others, but people will get the hang of what that looks like.
And how will the votes be counted?
The votes. Before I get into how the votes are going to be counted, Sarah, do you have any other questions?
No, good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So how the votes are going to be counted, it's going to be a 1-for-1 ratio. You have one koala, you get one vote. Doesn't matter if it's a sick koala like NFT Trader has, that's probably the top 5 rarity, or you have a floor or a middle one. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a 1-for-1. I've talked to some people where they're like, well, what if you get about rarities and prices? And then it just starts getting quite complex. And you can somewhat game it because rarity doesn't necessarily mean more value, or the actual vote should have more power, because you can have someone in terms of disposable income or your investments in the space, all of that is relative. Um, you can have someone that's very smart that has a lot of great ideas, that only has one or two koalas, and you can have someone that made a ton of money in crypto and they're just buying a bunch of stuff and they're not necessarily engaged, nor they actually care where the community goes. And just because they have maybe higher rarity koalas, they should have a higher voting power. So that's one slight concern. The other one, I was talking to a couple people about. They said, "Well, you should then base it on the value of the koala," and I said that's relative. Like I could just list the koala for 20 ETH, purchase it with my other wallet, and say I have a 20 ETH koala. Should I get more power than someone else that bought at 0.06 upon mint? Not necessarily. So we're gonna keep it simple. It's just gonna be a 1-to-1 ratio, and the amount of koalas that you have, that's your voting power.
That's great. What about here's another question, DAO. Any plans of off-chain voting to keep fees down?
Off-chain voting to keep fees down. I
Are
am
they?
not
Huh.
100% familiar with fees on voting.
Huh.
I would no plans because obviously I've just been made aware
Yeah.
that maybe fees are an important thing. If there were any fees, these would be covered under the project.
Okay.
And I think it would really have to be for a unique case where we can't keep it digital. We'll see. Sorry, you said digital or on chain?
The question was plans of off-chain voting to keep fees down. I actually wasn't aware that it was possible to do off-chain voting, but it sounds like an interesting
Well, I guess
concept.
from my perspective, like I mean, off-chain voting could be in the Discord. I just put
Yeah.
a few
That's
things in
true.
there, and that's off-chain voting. I do. We want to keep it on chain. We want to create value for collectors. So
Yes.
if we open it up for everyone to vote, then what's the purpose of focusing on the community, right? Like why should I give voting power on a project decision that's going to impact collectors to someone that is not a collector? So from that perspective, all serious voting for the DAO will be strictly, I guess, either quote unquote on chain or Web3 related, where you need to connect the wallet and it will check the collectors, the koalas that you have at the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Before we move on to the next question, I know NFT Trader's been patiently waiting on stage, so would love to connect with you. How's it going?
Sure. G'day. Not too bad. Not too bad. You've actually, after I requested the mic, you actually answered a lot of the questions about the DAO, and I don't want to beat it to death because I know Isla's got a lot of other questions that were submitted. Just want to say, the fact that you've decided to go one vote per koala, I think spot on, because I think the most active people in the community in the Discord are folks that have like 2, 3, 4 koalas, right? And they're in there killing it. And then you got people, the larger holders that they don't participate at all. So I think that's really good. That's a great idea. And it sounds like my initial question was going to be when you think about when it's going to get rolled out, but it sounds like it's kind of still in its infancy a little bit. You're going to do some test runs, get everyone comfortable with how it works, and then do that. So I think that's all good, man. I think you're going about it the right way. You're being very thoughtful about it, and making sure everyone can kind of participate, because at the end of the day, that's all people want to do, right? They want to know that their voice is being heard. They're making suggestions, to the team, and they're being reflected and they're being implemented. So it's all good. I'll let you move on. I don't want to take the whole time talking about the DAO. So appreciate your time.
Thank you, and it's part of the spaces tonight too. Like we want to clarify some of these points because, as I said, like some people have minimal understanding of it. And the idea is like I want every member of the community to understand the value of having a DAO, the value of some of the initiatives that we're doing, and and like you said, yeah, the voting for me, it's I want to give even people that might think they kind of have a small voice and they're not a whale or a kraken or anything, but it should
Exactly.
be a one-on-one because um, you might have a lot of, and it's actually funny, the people that are usually larger collectors or whales, they're doing this across the board. So they have less time to spend 24/7 in a Discord. And it's a lot of the other collectors that might have one or two or three that this is kind of like their community, their space where they love hanging out and they're doing everything to maybe get just like one more. So from that perspective, yeah, like we want everyone to give a voice. We want to give a voice to everyone in the community. And then in terms of rolling it out, for some things we really want to rush into it because we think it's super cool, but we're just being careful of not having to backtrack because we find that's even harder. So we just want to do it properly. We've done a couple of run tests with collectors already for some decisions, but the way we're going to be rolling it out is some decision making on events and community initiatives sooner than later. I think later next week, we're going to start rolling out a couple other ways of people to vote on things. And I would love to tell you guys all the details about that right now, but I think next week at Spaces, I would say highly recommend coming. We're going to focus around the metaverse and what we're building. And our approach is going to be to create something cool where really the community has a say on what that's going to look like. And so we just want to ramp up the voting mechanism to allow the community be engaged, because right now it's to like a lot of feedback and then we take it back. It takes time and then we kind of bring it forward. But we really want to say, hey, like you got voting power, you make a say, and this is how we're going to follow through with things. So yeah, I'd say this week, the next 7 days, it's a lot of building behind the scenes. And I would say midweek to late next week, you're going to start seeing some of the items that we've been working on behind the scenes actually start rolling out publicly. And we're excited for that.
Right.
All right, great.
Appreciate you answering that. Thanks. Yeah, I'm very close to a couple of the collectors, and I have a group with some of the larger collectors, and I think this is going to really be a key aspect of this project. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. So should we move on to Metaverse?
Sure. I mean, well, let's just, does anyone else have any other DAO questions before we move on to the Metaverse?
And we can always come back to it at the very end as well for any other questions.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's just kick start it with Metaverse then.
Yeah.
A quick little intro into the Metaverse, and then we can get into the questions. So in terms of the Metaverse, it's the term itself. People say it a lot, the Metaverse, and everyone's okay. Well, what is it? Is it just like the one place where everything happens? Is it digital? Who owns it? What can I do? Why is it important? So the Metaverse is just the idea of like where everything digital is together. You can bring stuff from all different sorts of areas. You can talk to different people with different communities. There's kind of like everything there. There's multiple platforms that are currently developing these metaverses in very different ways. So you have platforms like Sandbox, Decentraland. Gloomy City is one that's getting a lot of the attention because that one's built on Unreal Engine, so it's more of like a video game than some of these other ones. Then you have Epic Games for people that are not familiar. That's kind of the company behind Fortnite. They've announced a $1 billion investment into the metaverse. So it's really the idea of creating these digital worlds where everyone can hang out and socialize. And for any of the people playing video game, like that usually play video games or MMOs and stuff like that, it's no longer just a digital space for you to hang out, but it's also a digital space where you can make money. You're allowed to bring your NFTs in. You're allowed to sell your NFTs. Some of the spaces that we're seeing develop right now, it's a digital casino where you actually make tokens and you can cash those out. There's play to earn games. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in the metaverse. And it's quite interesting because I'm going to try to find the article and share it with the community. There's places around the world that are not as lucky. The people in there are not as lucky as some of us in other countries, but they're actually turning to the metaverse to make a living. So in a lot of these are like Axie Infinity has been an incredible example of how people are turning to video games to make a living. But there's also going to be actually people being employed in the metaverse to deliver some sort of service to make a living. So there's obviously some movies out there, Ready Player One, that kind of depict what this is going to be like, and I think we're in the really early stages of that. So for us as an NFT community, we want to be part of those first steps. We want to be part of the communities where we're all getting together. We have people from all over the world. It's going to be extremely difficult to get all of you together in one location. So what we can provide with the metaverse is that digital space where we can actually hang out, right? Like Snoop Dogg built his kind of metaverse mansion parcel, and he's actually going to be doing live shows there. Right? Like we could do our spaces could be in the metaverse. We could do events. We could hire DJs and get them to come play. There's a lot of stuff that we can do, but we can also give you more value as a collector into the metaverse. Because like, let's say we build a play to earn video game, but you can only access it if you have a koala. Or we can do a live show where actually like there's a DJ streaming from somewhere around the world. You need a koala as a collector. That's your access token to the show for free. And we might charge other people to come in, or we might not even let other people come in. So it's just building that world where we can all hang out together and create some cool stuff.
All right, great. Are there any ideas of doing some kind of group events in that space? Collaborations with other NFT projects?
So group ideas like quite specific right now, no, because we're looking at the bigger picture, but there is a lot happening. So we'll dive into the details with Land Vault next week. My goal is to get the founders of Land Vault to join us at Spaces and talk about what they're building and stuff. But for example, in Sandbox, there is a location now being called or referred to as Avatar Land. And that is something that's being built where there's going to be like a massive community with all these sub communities together, right? So like think of it like a busy street with like the Bored Ape Lounge, the K.I.A storefront, the Cool Cats Lounge, the Gutter Cat, like so right there. There's already going to be a space for a lot of the community members to be together. We're also going to be looking in terms of partnerships. How can we add value to you? So like if someone is building like let's say a coliseum for events, okay, well, can we get all our collectors to have that their token be an access for whatever special events are happening there? Or partnering with another community that maybe we build a play to earn game and they've built something else that's cool. Instead of us trying to rebuild the same thing that they've already done, maybe we just partner and say, hey, your community has access to our buildings, we have access to yours. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do. Right now we're just thinking at a much higher level. but eventually will happen.
Yeah. Well, do we have any questions from the listeners?
I think Maximus wants to come up, so I'll bring him up.
Yep.
I know Philly's here, but I think he was busy, so I'm not going to bring him up. Hey, Maximus, how's it going?
Pretty good. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Perfect. So the one question I had, y'all might hit on it next week, but why did y'all go with Sandbox as opposed to the other half dozen, I guess, land-based NFTs that we could have chosen from?
I'm trying to think, like, how much can I say, how much can I not say? We've looked at a bunch of different ones, and so personally, it started with the relationship that I have with NFT Boomer, and we've been talking a lot. So he's one of the founders of Land Vault, and they've been doing a lot of work in the space for a lot of the large communities, and they really understand the differences amongst all the current platforms that we're seeing. So we talked, and Sandbox was one that we kept coming back to for various reasons. And it wasn't really, the approach wasn't, I want to be in this one, but it was rather like, what do we want to build for the community? How would that look like? There's also some other stuff that's happening behind the scenes at each platform that could be good, could be bad. There's some uncertainties, but for us, it was just like, okay, this Sandbox it also seems to be the place where a lot of these larger projects are there, right? Like we have the Bored Apes have a ton of parcels there. Cyberkongs, I think they're actually the ones that have the most land in all of Sandbox. Gutter Cats are there's a lot of projects there. So for us, is like we want to be part of this larger community in there, because like we could potentially be in, like, let's say a different project, but if we're all in our own little parcel that we can interact with others by ourselves, it's almost like we're building a little bubble around the community. And for me, that doesn't have as much value as being part of the larger NFT collectible community. So that's why we decided to start with looking into what we can do with Sandbox. We have other plans, both short term and long term, and really we're not going to kind of put all our eggs in one basket. We want to look at different options. There's different platforms that specialize in different things. The one that I've been talking to a couple people, because I haven't spent a lot of time in it, but it seems really cool. Again, Gloomy City with Unreal Engine in terms of like a gaming aspect of it. Something could be really cool there. And also because we're so early, some are gonna pop off, others are gonna probably fall behind. So we want to have like be involved in the ones that are top of the list for now. And as things go, we're gonna evolve and change and adapt. So if something happens and a new one comes up, and that's kind of the focus where it is, and the community wants to be there, because then that's also when we start getting into the DAO side of things. We're going to look into moving into another place, right? Like if we start with something, community doesn't like it, we're open to seeing what we can do about it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. I don't have any more questions. Is there any other questions from listeners?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, or even if people want to come up here and kind of share what excites them about the metaverse, or even like why maybe they don't necessarily get it, or they have a couple of different ideas they might not necessarily fully understand, please come up. I'll quickly share what excites me, and I know Derek just came up on stage, so then I'll let him speak. But for me, it's the idea of like we're in Discord together, but that's still somewhat limited to memes and chat and voice chat. But we can actually organize some pretty cool stuff, and there's some DJs in the space that are pushing the limit. So what if, like, who's it? Marshmallow obviously bought into Koalas. Steve Aoki is big in the space. Blau is really pushing the limits on what he can do with music and royalties. So what if, instead of looking where these DJs are playing and saying, oh, like I'm missing out on this big event because a DJ's there and I'm clearly across the world, what if we could set a live stream in the metaverse where people can attend and do that? Right? Like we have NFT NYC coming up, really cool conference. I've some people even from the team would love to go, but they're on the other side of the world and it's not feasible for them. What if these conferences could now be accessible digitally for everyone across the world? So it's, for me, the metaverse, it's another avenue for bringing all of us together. And we can decide on the reasons why we're coming together. If it's just a gathering of spaces, cool stuff, a gallery, events, games. There's so many options that we can do, and it's just another way to spend some time with community members, right? Because it's going to be hard for me to connect with all of you. We have people in Australia, South Africa, Europe, Russia, North America, South America, Hawaii. Like, very difficult for all of us to get together. But we can host a massive event in the metaverse, and we can all just kind of experience that together. So I think that's one of the coolest things for me, and that really excites me about the metaverse. Hey, Derek, how's it going?
Huh?
Derek,
Hello, can you hear me?
there we go. How's it going?
Yep.
Hey, first time caller, long time listener. Love you all. First of all, right there, having Marshmallow in the metaverse sounds super cool. He's already been, done the whole Fortnite concert, that kind of stuff. I guess my next question would be kind of on the geocaches. Are those still planned to be, I guess, in the world, in the IRL, or are they moving more towards the sandbox? Or are we going to kind of see a hybrid of the two?
We're gonna see a hybrid. There is, as we scale things out. So the idea is, obviously, in real life, I think that's pretty cool. But again, a lot of people are gonna be missing out from that. So as we scale out, we're gonna see a hybrid. Once we're working on the app and that gets built, that's gonna allow us for new capabilities to even make that even like a personalized level. So it's based on geolocation. So it's going to be a hybrid, and we can also even include them within the metaverse to keep people entertained. But yeah, like physical, digital, metaverse. At some point, we're going to have a variety of them everywhere.
That's awesome. Thanks for that, man. And I know I'm excited for the DAO, but I really trust the leadership, and you guys are doing a great job. So appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Ilya, before we
All right.
keep going, I see Allan in this space, Allan Dixon. If you want to come up and chat, we would love to hear if you have any updates on our furry friends from Australia. So just make any sort of emoji or reaction, and I can bring you up. But maybe he's busy.
Oh.
So we can keep going around metaverse, and then he's laughing. That's a yes. Awesome. Let's bring him up. Yeah, so for all in here that you might not know, Allan is kind of like undercover agent in Australia that's been helping us connect with the foundations, and he's been the man behind the videos that have been a huge success. So just wanted to introduce you to him. And Allan, how's it going?
Yeah.
Hey guys, how are you? Hey from
Good,
sunny
you?
Australia down here. Let
Awesome.
me put
Yeah.
on, I'm gonna put on headphones. Give me 2 seconds. So the audio should be better. So sorry about this. But damn guys, this is so exciting. Like you've no idea. Okay. Does this work now?
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh guys, the hospital had a freak out when you guys sent them a second donation. They were just like running around like headless chickens going, "What? Are you sure?" And then they didn't even know how to send an ETH address to you guys because they're so clueless with crypto. But then this is basically the movement that's pushing charities and waking them up to be like, "Oh wow, this is legitimate. It's from real like a full community as opposed to like a centralized org that just want to do a tax write-off." And I've never seen anything like it in all my years of like being on the ground, seeing what charities are doing, how businesses collab with charities. And this is just phenomenal. So I'm actually going to go next week because my friend, the person I know in that hospital, is away. So we're going to go in and do another video, but it'll be more generalized in the sense of a call out to charities and using the K.I.A. as a prime example of what's possible. So I'll put that out probably in about 10 days or so if I get a chance. And word on the street is that Timmy wants to collab with you guys to somehow do some type of an auction with his community because he's all for it as well. He's such a genuine guy, loves the wildlife, loves animals, and basically just loves the koalas for what they stand for. And he's just like Steve Aoki. He's glued into the NFT scene. He was even trying to get into that Metaverse. That whole conundrum that happened. I was chatting to him.
All of us failed miserably.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So him and his manager are all for NFTs, and they think that's the future. So I'm gonna chat with them and figure out what's possible. But I'm sure in the future albums are gonna drop on NFTs, and it's gonna be because he's going to have to figure out how he can innovate with his music and release it in a way that gives him control as opposed to the labels, you know?
Yeah, no, it's super cool that he's involved, and obviously, like I saw the pictures and stuff, and I've talked to him a couple of times, and he loves the project. Obviously, being in Australia, the fact that he's not too far from Currumbin, it's awesome, right, to have him on board, and we were looking forward to kind of seeing what we can do with him, and he would be also a perfect fit for if we were to host like a digital concert with him there, and a couple of other things like I'll connect with him, but yeah, like that's another area in this space that we're going to be seeing a lot of disruption is in the music industry. For all that they're not super close or no DJ Blau. So Justin Blau is pushing the limits. So if you actually own one of his NFTs for that specific song, you will get royalties from that song. So it's really cool for the community, but also for the collectors because now you have that direct contact with the artist. He's in the Discord, they're active, but now you actually own a piece of the music. So it's really cool, and I think like NFTs, we've seen art, we've seen collectibles, we're starting to see a bit of music, a bit of real estate. It's really going to disrupt a ton of industries, and that's why I'm super excited about being here so early. Is that it's just the beginning, and I think we're going to see a lot of cool things happen even within the next 3 to 6 months that we're not even aware of.
at what point is this going to be your full-time job, or is it already your full-time job now?
I think it's you got to define full-time job. Is it based on hours? This is 2 full-time jobs. Um, Nonstop. I work on this. I think like I'm either sleeping, spending time with the family, or NFTs.
Nice.
And barely any food, plenty of coffee. But yeah, like it's such a cool space, and there's so much opportunity for everyone here, right? Like there's so many people in our community, in the koala community, with they're extremely skilled in their own ways, and they're finding all sorts of opportunities to bring value to the space. And I think that's awesome. And I think part of like being involved with a community like this, I just love seeing people create their own stuff. Like we've had people launch their own projects, actually quit their full-time job and work in the space full-time. Others are starting to look into different ventures. It's all really, really cool to see. And I think it's going to be a transition that we're going to see happen even within 1 to 2 years of this almost, if not complete, mass adoption in the space, either people physically being in the NFT space or really the use of the NFT technology outside of the space. Because in terms of use cases, like your phone could be like your access card to a building, like that could potentially be an NFT. The technology itself, there's so much stuff that we can do with it. It's unreal. And right now people are just looking at it as like, oh, these are just NFTs and collectibles. But like we've seen that real estate transaction on the blockchain, the whole thing from beginning to end happened in about 2 minutes, I think. And they still did it in the back end because all the other systems are archaic and the lawyers had to sign everything up that took them hours. But the actual official transaction of the deed was, and the funds within 2 minutes was done. So think of like just any sort of purchase now, and then you get into DAOs where you can put money together and buy a house or real estate or whatever within minutes. So I really think it's going to be incredible seeing where things go in the space.
Do I talk or do I wait for some kind of
I don't know, Fudd. With your name, I'm kind of scared to let you talk.
me?
How's it going?
Oh, you remember? Oh, Fud, that was my old name. You remember it? Fud Exterminator.
It's still. It was for some reason. It's still showing up as your.
Really? You
yeah.
got lag. I got my real name now, man.
Yeah, Basil.
Yeah,
I mean, it still
yeah.
shows up there when I click on it, but on
Crazy.
here it's used as Fudd. But yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, cool. Sorry, man. Like because I was in, like, I'm still interested in crypto. That was my name, like, before Fud Exterminator. And yeah, yeah. Anyways, so can I talk right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, like I like your koalas. They seem really cool. I already DM'd you, man, Lakoz. And my question was, how new is your project so far?
I think this is week 7. It seems like
so it's relatively new.
3 years in crypto time.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, it's I think week 6 or 7.
You got in on the right time, because I think by the beginning of 2022 it's gonna be too late if you start anything. And yeah, you're still in the promoting process. Like, you sell your stuff, but the promoting process is not finished, right?
Yeah, we're still scaling and really delivering on a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, right? Like right now we have some features that are keeping things fun, the community engaged, but we're just at the stage where we're about to start delivering that, call it real value or something more tangible. So yeah, it's quite early.
Yeah.
And even then, as a whole, right? Like you look at Bored Apes, it's still super early and they're 6 months ahead of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, just in general, I think we're just getting started.
Yeah. So my question is, are you thinking of some kind of applications for example, some other NFTs, they think about, integrating them into games. Some of them are thinking about, other stuff. Are you thinking about integrating some kind of application or something like that?
Yeah, so I think obviously like we're making that step into the metaverse,
Okay.
and that's gonna come with land to develop for what we want to do, as well as avatars.
Okay. Perfect.
Looking into how the scenery is changing, we do want to be present in other projects and stuff like that, right? Like if for example, like Epic Games, they're not going to be around for at least 2 to 3 years. But let's say they're coming here in tomorrow, and they're saying, "Hey, who wants to be part of the metaverse?" Like, for sure, we're going to be part of that. Like, how cool would it be to be able to bring your koala as your avatar for some of the video games that you've enjoyed playing for years, right?
Of
And like, you
course.
actually get to own the NFT. So, yeah, like it's nice to be here early. For some stuff, it's kind of a bit of up in the air. Like, we don't know if it's going to succeed or if it's going to be around in a year or two.
Yeah.
But at least by being here, we have that option of being first movers, having that first chance to being part of something, and then just testing it out and see what happens.
And is the minting process finished? Because like you always have a limited number of NFTs or koalas in your case. And is the minting process finished, or you still like you can buy them through minting, or no, you have to buy them through your OpenSea or whatever platform you use?
Yeah, so minting's been closed. We were actually lucky enough to sell out. I think it was not even 2 hours after we opened minting after launch. So right now, all our koalas are listed on OpenSea, or actually they're listed now on Nifty Gateway. So
Okay.
for people they're newer to the space, Nifty Gateway was the platform for where most of the art was being sold and being auctioned, and it was quite a big platform at the beginning of the year for art. Now we're actually listed there. One of the cool benefits of Nifty Gateway is that you can actually purchase NFTs with fiat, a credit card. You don't need to get
Okay.
into
Perfect.
the
That's new.
hassle
That's new.
of buying ETH and stuff. So yeah, we're on both. Both collections are there. Make sure you're checking for the verified collection because there's been some issues. But yeah.
Okay, since you're the co-founder, actually, I had like something in mind, and I'm not sure if you checked my profile. I think you already checked it. Like 10 days ago, I wasn't even on the map of NFTs, and now, man, like now we work with the Bored Apes, Stoned Apes, Tokers, Lazy Lions, and what we do, man. Do you want to hear what we do? Like, should I talk? So in case you guys are interested in also working with us.
So I'm just being mindful of time. What we can do is we'll have an offline conversation. We'll connect, and we can also bring those ideas to the community at a later time.
Yeah, it's for promotion actually, promotion let's say promotion goals or something like that for you guys, like promotion ideas, something like that.
Yeah. Let's connect, and then we can go from there.
I'll shoot you a DM. Yeah.
Perfect.
But thanks for having me. Thanks for answering my questions. I always, whenever I enter a new space with a new NFTs, I always have this question because it's nice to know the idea behind every NFT before buying them and getting into them. And so far, I like the idea, and I like how far you guys have gone since starting. Like, you're relatively new and you're making good. Yeah. So
hey, we'll love to talk to you, but not during their spaces. Let's move on to a different space, and we can talk about your promotion at different times.
Yeah, sure. I'm not gonna talk about it right now. I'm just saying I'm happy that I'm here, and thank you guys for listening to me. Thank you for putting me on speaker. I'll step down now, so if you want to put other people or something like that.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one. Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Well, if we're getting kind of quiet, a little bit quiet, I believe Lakoz was going to share us some new facts, new alpha.
Were you not paying attention to earlier on? You can't make it that easy. Let's see what can I put out there.
Get some more excitement going.
Like, let's see. I'm trying to think kind of what's coming down the road that might give you a
maybe
couple of clues.
maybe something about at the Oktoberfest celebrations. Some things that are.
You know, you honestly here. I'll put this one on you, Ilya. Today's been a hectic day for me. It's been like I've been since I woke up till literally I joined Spaces. It's been nonstop. I know we've talked about kind of like Oktoberfest and some of the stuff that we want to do. I don't even know exactly what was announced or what wasn't announced or what's been talked about today. So I might think I'm giving you alpha, and maybe it was also already announced from the team. So I think Ilya, you have a bit of an idea of what's happening as part of the social media team. You know what you've been tweeting. Maybe you can give us a little bit of a alpha or sneak
Yeah.
peek into something that hasn't been announced.
Well,
and then that way I can blame you for it if something goes wrong.
well, I'll actually take the opportunity and divert it to saying that we were thinking as social media team to host a sort of a happy hour tomorrow on Friday on Discord at around 6 p.m. Eastern. Just on voice chat with the social media team. Anybody who wants to come, we'll be celebrating the winner of the Hawaii trip giveaway, and we'll be just hanging out and chatting. And there might be some alpha if you join us, and we can
Some special
hang out. Yeah, and we do have some plans for some special guests, possibly some musical special guests. But yeah,
that sounds more like a fun event. But
yeah, we just wanted to put it out there because everyone was like complaining about like how we were going from 2 separate announcements to 1. So we wanted to give the opportunity for the community to have like kind of chill day where they can come in, ask questions, and we can talk about stuff and answer anything that that comes up as a community.
Yeah, and we'll just be hanging out and maybe listening to some music.
Sounds good. I'll add a little bit to some of the stuff that we'll be doing next week, without getting into all the details, but I'm sure some of you might be able to connect the dots. So we've talked about DAO today, and we talked about the metaverse, and we want to do something a little bit different. That basically we're gonna make our community be extremely engaged with what we're building in the metaverse. So it's going to be a longer process, obviously, in terms of what we're building, what we're creating there. But we really want to build something for the community. So we're looking at stuff that hasn't fully been done before by any other community. And we feel like this is a way to really engage our collectors. So next week, hopefully during Spaces or even our Walla Wednesdays announcement, we'll be able to share all the details around this. But for sure, by the end of the week, you'll have a clear idea of kind of what I mean by really wanting our community to be engaged with our metaverse initiatives.
Yeah, very cool.
Lako's really playing it down right now.
All right, we're coming up on the well, actually it's past the hour.
Past the hour.
Oreo, I know you just came up again, so we'll just one last question and then we will call it a night.
Oregon?
So can I talk or?
Yeah.
So can you repeat that about the musical guest?
That's still in planning. We haven't confirmed yet, so we can't guarantee you yet. But we are definitely making on weekly thing, and then we will be bringing guests in throughout the weeks.
All right, sounds great.
Party on Discord.
All right. Well, when is it again? I didn't hear.
Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
We need like a like an NFT clock, because now in my head I'm just trying to do math to see what times are that for other people around the world. But no, thanks everyone for joining. We're gonna try to keep these at an hour. I got a couple of things to do, but I might pop in the Discord again and just hang out with people. Thanks everyone for joining.
Very cool.
These are always fun for me. I wish we could be a bit more engaging, but I know the setting isn't the best. But maybe I'll have some time to jump into VC chats with more of you, and we can actually have open conversations and talk more about things. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and we'll catch you around.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excuse me right quick.
Hey, what's up?
Could one of those musical guests possibly be Marshmallow? Or...
If it was, there's no way we're telling you, and chances of it randomly being for the first Friday event in Discord, probably not going to happen. Are we going to try for?
Okay.
Are we going to try for when we have something in the metaverse? Definitely going to try, but that'll be for another time.
For sure.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good one, y'all.